Welcome to another Friday night. This is On Fire Family, and this is Happy Hour. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum. Hoist the mainsail, here I come. Ain't no room on board for the insincy. You're my witness, I'm your mutiny.
Well, here we are on Anchor. This is our third night in a row on Anchor. So we're joining you from Willow Island.
Yes, Willow.
Here on the Illinois River. We are tucked.
Willow Island's over there.
We are tucked behind the island here. We're the only people in this anchorage, although it would accommodate
15?
20 boats or more. It's huge and deep and just a delightful
really nice.
spot. We had a rainstorm come through today, so we're just kind of coming out of that.
Yeah.
But
You can kind of see the mist behind us. That's really cool.
so let's catch you up. Last time we talked, we were in Chicago, and we were leaving Chicago, and we have. So a week ago, we went right through the Chicago River, downtown Chicago. Again, another amazing highlight of our trip. That is just a wonderful experience to do. And we met up with two other looper boats that were entering the lock on the Chicago River at the same time as us, and we have traveled with them really off and on for the past week, which is cool. They like to travel at around our speed, and that's nice. And we've had some great docktails and made some friends. So that was cool. From downtown Chicago, the first stop was the Joliet Wall.
Through the weird canals.
Through the sanitary ship canal.
Yeah.
And that was a long day. We had
Two locks.
just one lock, I think.
Oh.
Well, two locks. One into the Chicago River to get into downtown. That's no delay at all. And then Lockport Lock, which we did have to wait a bit to get in. And there were a whole slew of loopers coming, both the Calsag route and the Chicago River route, that all converged, waiting on the lock. So the lock gates open, and everybody makes a beeline for the Joliet
We were all
Wall.
anchored out, so then we have to be like, oh, time to unanchor.
And then, so then we all tie up at Joliet Wall, and we were the very last boat to tie up. And everyone was like, you can raft up here if you don't find a spot, raft up here. So we went all the way down to the very end, and we were able to tie up. And so, very thankful that there was a spot for us there.
16 in a row at Joliet Wall, and we had a fantastic docktails there.
Yeah.
Like, we met a lot of new people, and they were just really fantastic.
And thank you very much. I've forgotten your name, for taking a picture from the skyrise in downtown Chicago, and then coming and meeting us. And we're sorry that you weren't able to get on our boat and take a tour. We were just docking.
We did visit in Joliet,
but we did get to talk a little bit on the wall there in Joliet. So, but thank you for that picture. That is really awesome, of Witness going right through those tall buildings in downtown Chicago. Really precious to have that. The next morning we get up and started moving. We have done 7 locks.
Sure.
7 of 8 locks. It's hard to keep track. But the same 8 locks between St. Louis and Chicago that we did on the way up before we started our summer, we're doing on the way down at what we thought was a more leisurely pace of 1 or 2 a day. But it's still a grueling process.
7 in 7 days.
And some of the notorious ones, like Dresden, did delay us. Brandon Road, they are still on our list.
Marcel, still not our favorite.
Yeah. So, but we're good. We're getting good at going through the locks, and now we have looper friends. So we're not the only pleasure craft going through trying to raft up to a big barge or something like that. There's a bunch of us, and that's good and bad. One time we were the boat closest to the wall.
I can't remember what lock that was.
And there were 4 or 5 wide tied up, locking through, and so our boat is taking the brunt of the wall, and we're trying to keep it off the wall.
Well, we're trying to keep the swim platform from slamming against the wall, and poor little Mason was like trying to keep 4 boats off of the wall, and then so Seth went.
And we have no real control over the forces that 4 boats put against the wall, we just really can't steer our boat independent of there. So anyway, that was an experience. We got through it. Boat is a-okay. Everything is fine. But I think if we were to do it again, we'd prefer to be rafted up further out into the lock than to be the one right there against the wall. But happy to help the other loopers out, and because we were the longer boat in the situation, so it totally made sense. So from Joliet, we made it to Ottawa, Illinois, Heritage Harbor Marina, AGLC sponsor, awesome, absolutely awesome, and I would say the best customer service experience in the docking.
They talked us all the way in.
Yeah, so from exiting the lock, which was just a few minutes away, they talked us into our slip and caught our lines and just really made sure that we knew exactly where we were going and how to get tied up and everything that we needed to do.
Also give a great rundown at 4 o'clock in the afternoon of what's ahead of you on the rivers before you get to Green Turtle Bay, where you get another briefing. And it's just Jeremy at Heritage is invaluable.
And we were too late to make it, and we were bummed because we only had one night because
we tried to get 2.
The marina was booked, and so we just had the one night there, and we weren't going to be able to make the 4 o'clock briefing. And so he just spent one-on-one time with Jennifer the next morning and to give through the material, and so we feel equipped to handle the rest of this.
But they had a pool, which was great, and they have a nice restaurant there and a tiki bar, and there was live music, and so we got takeout at the restaurant, which also has better beer, so we got our beer at the restaurant and sat out at the tiki bar while the kids swam, and then we all ate, and the food was really good too.
And then we just stayed up late with Looper friends and enjoyed the music, and it was just a really good time. From Heritage Harbor, we made it to Henry, Illinois, to an old lock wall, like an 1890s lock that had been decommissioned, is now Marina, kind of makeshift marina. And so
I would also say stellar customer service, but they're new owners, and so they're just trying to deal with this really old lock wall and a marina that's not deep enough, and they bought it so that people could still use it. And so that they could still use it. And they were Johnny on the spot with the lines, and so sweet.
And communicative throughout the day. Like, are you sure? Are you showing up? Is there anything we can do to help? When? And all the different things. We actually tied up at their fuel dock there, which was terrific. And it felt good to be tied up rather than anchored out because we had some serious weather come through that night. So after a long day, we get in. We expected some wind and some thunderstorms, but then our phones started going off right around bedtime. That a tornado warning was in effect.
Not watch. Warning.
And then we heard the sirens come on from the city of Henry.
Yeah. So the kids and I were all basically alerted at 11 o'clock at night, really loud, and that was actually scarier than the storm. The storm was just, a storm. The lightning was fantastic, but we were pretty protected, and so it wasn't too windy, and the waves didn't get too high. But we kept getting these alerts, and it was scary. And then the tornado siren came on, and Madeline said, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Nope, that's not happening. That's not a thing." So that was my first tornado warning. I've been through hurricane warnings, but this was my first tornado warning.
But ultimately, it was fine. The boats were all fine. Everybody was fine. It did touch. Maybe it didn't even touch down. But
there was 2 funnels.
East of where we
were. To get into a basement, and we're like, meh, and there was nowhere to go. There was just nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So
a moderately early start the next morning after the weather cleared, and we made it to Peoria and stayed at the Ivy Club, the Illinois Valley Yacht Club, which unfortunately their pool was drained on Labor Day, and so we were just a little bit late for that, which is unfortunate because it was hot.
It got to 95, and you could see people walk to the pool and walk all the way back, and it was a long walk, and it looked like a great pool and hot tub, and everybody was disappointed. But there was a lot of people there, and they had a cool circular bar, and the bartender Tirza was so nice. She loaned us her really awesome truck, and so we went to the grocery store and just loaded up.
Yeah, so we got the boat provisioned for these days that we're on anchor here, which is excellent to have the boat full of groceries to be able to do that. And we did go for a swim, so we took our new tender, our Highfield
The
out,
kids did.
and and they hopped in and cooled off, and just actually zooming around on the Highfield dropped our body temperature. It was just nice to get out of the marina where we were kind of baking.
Oh yeah,
and get out there.
the first morning there, we cleaned the boat. Like I cleaned it all the outside, and so having that water and soapy water kept me cool the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So work day.
And then our final morning there, a beautiful sunrise and a rainbow over the Ivy Club,
Gorgeous.
which was just incredible. So a great way to end our time at the Illinois Valley Yacht Club, and to move on to this series of anchorages. So this is like we said, the third night on anchor. So we anchored at Quiver Island, Big Blue Island, and now Willow Island, on our way to Grafton, which is just in that St. Louis kind of area. So we're getting back to kind of crossing where we began this summer.
Crossing our first wake.
Right. The ripple of our first wake, yes. And then on from there. So
So we will go into St. Louis somehow, because our son is now obsessed with Pappy's barbecue, and so we have to get there. But we'll be in the area for almost a week, because we're going to the rendezvous that's coming up, but we have lots of time to get there, and so we're just
take our time going down the rivers and
because
enjoy.
there's some pretty cool things in Grafton, and Alton are supposed to be amazing, and they both have pools that have water in them. I checked. So good times.
Well, thank you guys for joining us for another happy hour. We're having a great time out here on the Great Loop. Like this video, subscribe to our videos if you want to be notified when we put out a new one. They're every Friday night, so no surprise, but click the bell so that you get those notifications. And we'll see you next week for another happy hour. Cheers.
Cheers.